All right, welcome to another Goodman podcast show. I'm excited today to talk to somebody who I really admire and appreciate, and you'll see why in a second. Somebody who's come in today to kind of not only talk about himself and a company, but more actually to talk about the country he's currently in and how can that perhaps help all of us. So, Hieu, a very warm welcome and welcome to the Goodman podcast. Tell us about Hieu. Who is Hieu?
Thank you, Raj. Thanks a lot for inviting me to your podcast. It's my honor to be here, and then hopefully I can share what I know a little bit about my country and some information about myself and my company. And I hope it's gonna be helpful to somebody out there. Thank you
awesome.
again for inviting. Yeah.
It's a pleasure. So Hieu, tell us a little bit how you get started. Like, tell us your journey so far, just so we can understand a bit about Hieu, and then we can jump into the questions, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, like, that's a little bit about me myself. I'm Vietnamese, yes, and 100% like Vietnamese. Some people may look at me and say, "Okay, you look like Chinese, you look like Korean," but I am Vietnamese. I spent all my childhood time here in Vietnam before I went to Australia for study. I was on a Australian government scholarship to Australia. Studied at the University of Sydney for my bachelor and completed my MBA in UTS. It's also in Sydney. I came back to Vietnam, set up the company, got married with a beautiful wife, and I got two lovely daughters. Yeah, so that's briefly about me, myself, and now I'm 43 this year.
That's fantastic. I was saying the other day as well that I can't believe you're 43. I'm 42 and I've got all my hair grayed up. So I don't know what you'll be eating and drinking, and your routine is definitely looking really good.
I'm getting my gray hairs already, but it's like somewhere. It's gonna be showed up soon, I think. Yeah.
That's awesome, Hieu. Thank you for sharing. So obviously, as I understand, you're on the IT sector. Tell us, how did that come about, and why in Vietnam?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just want to talk a little bit more about Vietnam because it's an interesting story for not only people from outside Vietnam, but also for the people inside. Vietnam, I know many people just I mean, for a long time ago, people just know Vietnam about Vietnam War with like against the US and things like that. But now Vietnam is getting more and more popular in terms of growing economy, a good place to come, or a very good place to bring the whole family to travel around Vietnam. But today I just want to talk more about Vietnam in terms of a good destination for IT, because this is, I mean, I've been spending like 18 years building the company in Vietnam, offering service to the world, to the whole world, actually. So I really see the big opportunities for companies all over the world to come to Vietnam to enjoy the benefits from Vietnam, and also to help Vietnam grow a little bit more. So there are many reasons for Vietnam. It's a long story, but for me, Vietnam is a good place for IT because of the stability. I mean, the environment, the politics, and everything is so stable. We have the Communist Party. I mean, it's been there for almost 100 years, and it's never been changed. So it's been very stable. And the economy is growing very fast. Normally, the economy is growing more than, I mean, like 6% at least. Sometimes we reached about 10% per year. And that's actually helped a lot of like new developments, new opportunities for the countries. We also have like a very good source of human labors, which I think very important for companies to grow is like new hub. We have the very good education. We have like people here in Vietnam. We study a lot of mathematics. We study a lot of informatics. That is a good foundation to grow the IT labor force. Yeah, I mean, like basically there are many things all together, but I think is the hub for labor and stable and also very affordable, which I can mention a little bit more. Yeah, a bit later. Yeah.
That's amazing. Obviously, you talked about why Vietnam is interesting. One thing which I often think about when it comes to outsourcing is the destination we outsource to has to have younger, more educated population. And obviously, younger is really important because in Europe, we're seeing this massive challenge where, for example, Italy is one of the oldest nations, as it were, in the whole of European continent. And it is challenging because when you have that, it's hard to get in the skills. How is it in Vietnam? Are you finding that there's a younger population there? And you mentioned that there is a drive towards mathematics. How did that come about? Would you have any idea on that, and can you educate us about that?
Yes, in Vietnam, the population is right now is 100 million people. So we are about I think if I'm not wrong that we are ranked number 13 in the world of the population. So it's quite big. And the population is still in its golden era, meaning we still have a lot of young people in the countries. I think the medium age is about 30 or 32, something like that. Many people are still in the workforce. So we don't have many people like in the nursing home. No, we just have like people working, and that's actually boosts the economies a lot. And also in terms of the educations, people in Vietnam tends to study more on the like engineering or mathematics or physics, or I mean it's the traditions of the education that give a lot of opportunities for people to learn on those basic knowledge. And if you look at some statistics in Vietnam, we have in terms of the educations, we have I would say we have like many like mathematics medals, gold medals from the international Olympics mathematics competitions. I think we rank number 6 over 100 and something countries that joins that competitions. So it means that Vietnam's has like some very good talents who have strong background of the mathematics, of the informatics, and those talent can be developed into some of the best engineers in the world. We actually have people working for like Google, Microsoft, and all the best company in the world, like doing AI and things like that. So very, very good education for IT. That what I mean. Yeah.
And that's amazing because it's funny because the first time I was Vietnam when I was sort of just I think it was probably about 12 years back, and that time I was just kind of visiting Vietnam and it was just new for me. But then recently when I've been coming to Vietnam, I've done now 3 talks in Vietnam. I was really impressed by the not only the youth, the population, but the IT infrastructure, but also the English levels. I was impressed to see that people can understand and speak English even in restaurants. Because in Bangkok,
Yeah.
where I spent a lot of time, it's really hard to even order food sometimes, and let alone having a conversation. So that is definitely an impressive part for Vietnam. Do you feel that the education is geared towards this whole IT outsourcing infrastructure, or there is another opportunity for Vietnam? And let me kind of put some context there. The last time when I heard about Vietnam quite a lot was during the crypto boom. There's a lot of crypto projects were actually from Vietnam. So tell us, what do you think the future of Vietnam is? Is it going to be more outsourcing? Or is it going to be more software development for projects in the future, perhaps companies?
That's a very good question. That's a trend that we are looking at too. The biggest part of IT in Vietnam is still like IT outsourcing, obviously, because we've been building that for a very, very long time. But you are right. Like if you look at all the other areas like crypto or blockchains, some unofficial figures show that Vietnam actually is ranked number 5 in the list of like crypto investor. I mean, like we heavily invest in crypto, and we and like people like can very easily to adopt new technology because it's so natural for them to learn new thing. Vietnam has to learn new thing very frequently. We don't have a big legacy, so we just need to learn new thing, and then that's why people like pick up the trend very, very quickly. Uh, that's one thing. But if you are so right that when you look at the blockchains things, and you can very easily see that there are many blockchain companies having their offices in Vietnam. I mean, they do it very silent in the silence. But if you go to Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi, there are many like companies. You cannot believe that like many companies actually having staff doing all the engineers, they're like SA engineer, and CTO in Vietnam. That's I mean I even like I was so surprised with the biggest change like um, Cardano or like uh, Avalanche and things like that. They have people in Vietnam near and things like that. So I mean, they actually can find good talents from Vietnam doing new technology. And you're right. So it's the thing that Vietnam gonna move towards too, meaning they Vietnam has to increase the level of the knowledge in their IT service. It's not only like IT outsourcing anymore, but we have new startups, we have new technologies, and the government is also investing quite heavily in terms of the policy and the promotion for Vietnam technology innovation.
Understood. Interesting. Really interesting that. Now, obviously, as it happens, Vietnam is in a very culturally rich geography. You are, as it were, in the time zone, which is called Indo-China. So already you have India and China as almost neighbors. Then you have Singapore, you have Malaysia, you have Thailand. Where do you see the future when it comes to IT in Vietnam, especially with India on doorsteps, and then I'll also talk about China a little bit. I'm very interested to know how you compete with India, for example, which is meant to be the IT hub of the world.
Right. We don't care about India. India too big. No, I mean India is always like a big brother, to be honest, in this kind of game. But again, like Vietnam has its own unique. Uh, I mean, like, because if you look at Vietnam, you can definitely see good talent plus affordable price. I know that in India or now even in China, the price has increased a lot, and it's gonna cost quite a lot for foreign companies to invest in those countries because they India, they take a big part of the IT services in the world. With the best talents now working for big corporations in the US or UK or even in India itself. There not many talent left for like small medium companies to look for, but that's available in Vietnam. Many companies can still see good talent in Vietnam with affordable price. And I mean, like if you look at the numbers, you see that the average salary of an IT engineer in Vietnam is about 1,000 to about like 2,000 US dollars per month, which is lower than a lot than India or even China. So I think it's a plus one. And also if you look at Vietnam as a I would say is like if you need to compare, then you say like in China people speak less English and probably Vietnam speak more English. But in India, of course, Indian speak more English. But again, in Vietnam, we have like the good, very hardworking people, and well-educated people as well. And cheaper price. Yeah. So if I need to compare, I would say that Vietnam should be like China or India plus one, the alternative one. Yeah, the alternative one. Yeah.
I love it. And in fact, I've been hearing reports that Indians are outsourcing to Vietnam as it happens. I mean, there's definitely one plus for Vietnam there.
Yeah. I mean, like we have SCL, which is an Indian company having office in Vietnam. So I think they are outsourcing to Vietnam. I mean, for I don't know why, but they're actually doing that. So it's been they can also find good talents in Vietnam as part of their business.
That's fantastic. And obviously, let's go from the one major sort of economy to the other. Now, let's go to China. Obviously, China, as you knew 10 years back or maybe a little bit before, is very different from China today because there is this sort of less spoken about but more felt Cold War happening between the West and China. And I know when I was in the UK, a lot of EO UK members were thinking about leaving China, and the natural choice was Vietnam. So in manufacturing and beyond, how do you see Vietnam?
Yes, the fact is, yeah, people don't explicitly talk about the trade war between US or Europe versus China, but the fact is, many foreign companies actually moving out from China to Vietnam. We see manufacturing there a lot, like in terms of electronics and textiles. We see Samsung have the biggest mobile phone manufacturing factory here in Vietnam. We also have Apple. They are producing AirPods in Vietnam, and they are increasing more in terms of manufacturing capabilities in Vietnam. We also have Intel. We also have like all other big guys are moving to Vietnam from China as well. Probably because of maybe because of the tights, maybe because of the regulation, maybe because they need some alternative to make sure that if there's something happen to the relationship between China and the US, then they have somewhere else to back up. But as a result, Vietnam benefits a lot from that one, helping the economy to grow about like 6 to 8% every year, and we receive a lot of foreign direct investment, and the property price increases quite a bit, and the human resources price also increase a little bit, but it's still affordable. It's still affordable. Yeah.
And that's incredible, isn't it? Like this is the emerging giant, as it were, and that is exciting. And I know our mutual friend Dave is always on about Vietnam. I don't think I've heard anybody else talk about Vietnam more than Dave does. So, kudos to him. He's brought me into Vietnam. He's been me again multiple times. I just think it's fantastic. But again, this is something which I don't think a lot of people appreciate. Obviously, you talk about communism and it's been for 100 years in Vietnam, but I don't think people appreciate, who haven't visited Vietnam yet, how liberal it is to work there. Could you help perhaps somebody who's not visited Vietnam yet to understand and appreciate how is it to work in Vietnam, and how does it work usually for foreigners, for example, foreign companies?
Yeah, that's fair because well, if you look at the history, especially if you are from like Western countries, when you look at Vietnam, you think, oh, this is a communist country. Maybe like it seems like North Korea. Maybe like we don't have freedom or thing like that. I mean, here in Vietnam, we don't talk too much about politics. To be honest, we don't criticize the government, or we don't you don't touch on a lot on what they are doing. But again, we have a lot of freedoms. We do have the freedom to build our business. We get supported by the government to build our business. We as the economy is looked like a free economy for me because um, of course we do have some regulations which I believe can be beneficial to the government's entities, but again, is not a big part of the economy. The private sector is still growing very fast and taking more and more part of the economy. Now, I think the private sector is probably the biggest part of the economy. So it simply means that people in Vietnam have the freedom. People like Dave, who's like from other country to Vietnam, can easily set up a company here, can recruit people, can pay tax, get some revenue from outside, can reinvest their money in some growing assets of the companies, and can also like very good life here for people. Even like myself, I live in the areas where I see more Korean than Vietnamese, meaning that like they actually build a Korean town and then they have their lifestyle. They do whatever they want. They can bring their culture to Vietnam. No one gonna do anything about that. I mean, like it's for me is totally okay for people to live their life, to do their business here, as long as they don't touch on the politics part, which like against the Communist Party or thing like that, which most business don't actually want to look at and to care about. Yeah.
Completely agree. I think when it comes to working in different economy, different country, I think respecting the local norms is super important, and I think we all appreciate that. I think what was interesting to hear was I heard talking to one of the EO members, and she's from Southeast Asia. She's not from Vietnam, but she has 100% ownership of her company in Vietnam, which again is unheard of. In Thailand, that doesn't happen. You have to have company in partnership. The whole structure is very complicated sometimes, and that leads to some challenges. And Thailand has its own advantages, but Vietnam has this succinct advantage that you actually own your own company, so you actually have the rights to what you're creating there. Is that right?
That's true. That's so true that especially in IT, I mean, I have the same problem with Thailand. I mean, we very hard to set up our own company in Thailand. That 100% owned by us. A lot of like procedures going through, like months of like waiting for the papers to be approved and things like that. But here in Vietnam, you can have your 100% owned company by foreigners. Of course, not all industries, but it's true in IT that you can create your own company in IT and then recruit your own people and invest and withdraw money out from the company. Of course, to withdraw money out from the company, from the countries, it take a little bit of procedures to fulfill, because the government still put restriction on the capital out. But again, it's still possible to do so, especially if you know the laws, the local laws, and you have some help from the local people. Yes.
Understood. And so if somebody's coming in to set up a IT company or needs IT resources, obviously the one option is to come to someone like yourself who run a shop to kind of get people to hire. But again, obviously when you come to a new country, you're like, okay, where should I set up? Obviously from my perspective, I know there are three places which I've heard about and been to: Ho Chi Minh, Hanoi, and Da Nang. This is all I know. I live in Southeast Asia. What would you suggest to somebody who's coming in thinking about IT seriously and having team members there? What's their path to coming into Vietnam?
Right. It's not just Vietnam, but in all other countries that is hard if you don't know much about other countries, and then you come and then you set up your own things. Yeah. So my first advice is the best is to get a good partner like us or something. Or, I mean, like, or just any partner who you trust and who can guide you through things. But you can also we have many like good advising services for foreign investment. You can ask for that kind of services as well. But having a good partner is definitely a plus. So to do it in Vietnam, then you should look at what are you looking for. Maybe some companies looking for a alternative resources to make sure that they can quickly increase their IT capabilities, ramp up, ramp down their resources very quickly at affordable prices. Or some people look at the tax benefits, because if you have a company here in Vietnam, you may get some tax exemptions, like a lot of like zero tax for IT and IT export, which is good. And or you may want to increase your services to a new emerging market. 100 million people is not a small market. So if you look at those things, Vietnam offers its own, because so I mean, like, but if you I think the biggest part is still the resource part. If somebody wants to get more resource, then yes, absolutely, it's still the biggest advantage for people to come to Vietnam. For my company, we have more than 1,000 people in Vietnam, having offices in on three major cities, like what you mentioned. We have offices in Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, and Da Nang. And in different regions, you may find different type of resources. For example, in Hanoi, you find people who have very good mathematical backgrounds. You can do like R&D research, deep level of research. But in Ho Chi Minh City, then you're gonna find a lot of good resources in terms of business skills, in terms of English, in terms of international backgrounds. And in Da Nang, very hardworking people, and very, very low cost and amazing lifestyle. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember being at Da Nang. The name of which I can't remember right now to save my life, but it was a place in Da Nang, near Da Nang. It was like a old town with narrow streets and great shops. I remember like having a egg coffee there, and I was super impressed with the whole place.
Yeah, egg coffee is getting now more popular in Vietnam. Tourists come to Vietnam and it's a must to try, like egg coffees. Yeah.
When I used to drink coffee, that was my go-to, I must say. And I've stopped drinking coffee, but still, Da Nang or actually Vietnam is really good because I still drink chocolate. So it's still really good for me to kind of come to Vietnam and have the chocolate you guys offer.
Yes, 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 definitely, yes.
Excellent. So let's sort of wrap this up a little bit. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions now. Second last question I want to ask you is about AI. Obviously, I'm big on AI. AI is maybe scary for a lot of people. Today I was hearing an article, actually hearing a podcast from Eric Schmidt, who's the ex CEO of Google, and he believes that actually we're not going to contract, we're going to grow. How do you see, as a company which has a lot of resources, there's 1,000+ people in the companies, where do you see AI fitting into your company?
Right, right. I mean, like, ah, that wakes me up in the middle of the night many times. But I mean, like, to be honest, I was scared of AI when seeing like how AI can actually change the way that we're doing things. But again, I'm so excited, especially after the training with you. People so excited about how AI can actually help us. So the way I look at AI is it's not something that replaces human yet, but it's something that like a tool, a very very good tool. Or if you give it a metaphor, then it look like a knife, where you can have a very sharp, a good knife, but to be able to use it in the right way, you still need people with good skill, with experience, with good knowledge, with you still need people to be there, and then with the good tools, then you can actually increase the productivity. You can actually do a lot more things as you want. But if you don't have good skill, of course, you can cut yourself. So it's very exciting trend for a company like us to look at. Again, we don't have any choice but riding on the wave and learn and more of AI, having more training with experts like you. And now we're having a lot of AI adoption programs for the company. We have the program that help people doing like coding and testing with AI tools. I think 99% of our developers are using AI for their coding work. We're also building the very specific tool for smart OSC to use AI. For example, like our own chatbot that can help answer the questions from the staff, and also some tools to help manage our meetings, some tools to help schedules on the on kind of the meeting and taking notes and things like that. So we do invest in AI heavily at the moment, and we do also prepare for what AI is gonna impact us, meaning that we need to train people. And there's one thing I think which is important to talk about AI is risk, meaning that when you look at AI, it can increase the cybersecurity risk as well. So we actually set up a new cybersecurity team just to look at AI, how we can protect our data, how we can use AI in a safe way, and maybe then help our clients to reduce the risk of using AI, and to avoid or to be protected from the AI attacks as well. So that basically what we are doing. Yeah.
Well, that's a great answer, by the way. I mean, it's commendable because this is the trend which everyone seems to be talking about right now. That it's founders, investors, economists, politicians, everybody's talking about AI. So it's great that you're talking about it. And cybersecurity, I mean, it is a big concern because as we all have the tools and power to make our lives better, the bad actors also have that tool as well, and that's not ideal. The 0.3% who will make our lives harder will make it even worse for us. And as AI and quantum computing is coming into play, oh boy, we have a lot to think about. So that's great that you're gearing up for it. All right. You, this is the last question I have for you, but this is how we met. We obviously met through EO, Entrepreneurs Organization. You're part of the Vietnam chapter. Tell me, Hugh, how has EO impacted your life so far? How has EO maybe added to your life, perhaps in your personal, business, or family life?
Wow, that's I got that questions from EO members a lot. People always ask me like, what do you get benefit from EOs? My answer is always like, without EO, I could not meet such an interesting people like you, like you, Raj, like all the EO members. I mean, like EO is now a great part of my life where I can easily find like new interesting people, and it's not only interesting me, but I also feel like immediate vibe that I like from EO, the entrepreneurship, the leadership style, or the friendliness. I mean, I can easily find it because normally I don't do like a podcast or whatever, but when EO member like you, or when somebody who I know, they ask me for a podcast, yes, I do that without thinking. But then I think a lot. But I mean, I mean like um it's easy to say yes to EO members. And it's also what I get from other members for me. So I get help from other people. We share things. We enjoy life together. I meet so many interesting people, even in Vietnam. Vietnam has only like 27 members, but they are all great. I mean, like people like Dave, who have experience in IT, who have like knowledge of international businesses, who enjoy their like life with great tennis and like enjoying bars and things like that. But I mean, like that actually give me, wow, a new whole way that I look at the world and look at the people, how they are handling their new challenges in life. I mean, before EO, I feel like, oh, it's only me versus the world. And now with EO, I think, wow, I still have, I mean, other people's the same. We have like people like with the same mindset, having the same challenges in life, and we can share with each other and we can grow together. So it's a big part. It's a great part of life. So I highly suggest entrepreneur join EO, or who already joined, please stay and discover more. Because not only your forum, not only Vietnam, not only your country, but if you look to the regional, if you look to other countries, it can easily find great people, great people. I went to Nepal. I went to um, Japan. I went to Australia. The EO members I met there, like they all very helpful, very easy to talk to, and like we can. I mean, like we don't see the distance or any kind of network or anything like the normal kind of business network. Then you have to keep your image like this and like that, but you can be yourself with that community.
What a great way to end. Hugh, you've been super inspirational. I learned a lot from today. Thank you very much for sharing. And in true EO fashion, you've been totally open, talking with your 5%, both the highs and the lows, and open to talk about not only yourself, but the economy and all of Vietnam, to share and educate all of us. So I just want to say thank you so much, Hugh, for your time. And I know you don't do podcasts, but thank you for making an exception today for a Goodman podcast and educating all of us together. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Raj, for inviting me. So I hope I didn't ruin your podcast quality. You can feel free to edit anything. Yeah, but again, really enjoy it. Really enjoy talking. And thanks so much, and all the best for your Business and Boss podcast. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Well, I must say before we end that actually you've enhanced the quality because the perspective is what's really important. And talking with the perspective and ask some really hard questions. So thank you for answering those. But on that note, signing off from a lovely podcast with Hieu. Thank you, Hieu, for your time, and look forward to catching up with you in person very soon.
Thank you.